Welcome to Truth by Billie Beene. Today's date, March 1, time in Texas, about 7 p.m. Some of the things we'll cover. Confirmed. In Texas, we did have a terrorist attack. President Trump, I believe, must remain resolute. Iran sinks 4 ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and Keir Starmer with the UK says, oh, it's okay now for the U.S. military to defend UK bases. I got this to say to Keir Starmer, shut up. So let's see what's going on. So my last video I put out in Austin, Texas last night, there was a mass shooting. And it has been confirmed now that was an individual activated by Iran, part of a sleeper cell infiltration of America, activated by Iran to kill Americans. This took place in Austin, Texas, West 6th Street last night in front of Buford's Bar, where an individual named Nadaga Diakwa, originally the information we have from Senegal, who had been in the U.S. long enough to become a U.S. citizen, who killed 3, injured 14 with a pistol and rifle, and on his clothing he had in certain references to Allah. He also had the flag of Iran. The FBI has now confirmed this was believed to be a sleeper cell shooting. So keep your powder dry, baby. And we've got this. So Iran has been hitting the Cyprus base. Cyprus is a small island off of Israel's coastline where there is a UK base, and I believe the U.S. also parks planes there. Now, as I put out in previous videos, the UK leader, Keir Starmer, who many believe is in the pocket of the CCP, said the U.S. could not use any UK bases to launch an offensive hit on Iran. Now that Iran is hitting the UK bases, Keir Starmer, hypocrite, comes out and makes the audacious statement, oh, okay, well now the U.S. military can defend the UK bases. Keir Starmer, shut up. And what is the purpose of the UK military if it cannot engage in offensive military action, and it cannot engage in defending its own base? Is this UK military simply a group who put on uniforms and engage in ceremonies? Keir Starmer, you are insulting the UK military by implying that the UK military cannot even defend its own bases. So I say to President Trump, let the UK take care of its own. And we have this. And we know that Iran has been hitting many times its neighbors, Oman, the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait, Jordan, Iraq, and I believe even into Syria, to hit U.S. military bases. But Iran is going a step further with its neighbors directly across the Persian Gulf from it by hitting in its neighbors civilian infrastructure and civilian airports. Iran is led by psychopaths Some have been taken out, the Ayatollah, and we understand 48 Iranian leaders were taken out in that first strike on Iran Saturday, and that the U.S. also sank at that same time 9 Iranian ships. We're hearing now that Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz, and that Iran has sank 4 ships or tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. We do not yet have details on what these ships or tankers were named, or what countries they came from, and so on. And we have this. Yeah, the UK cannot even defend its own bases. And we have this from Prepper News. President Trump believes the hits on Iran will last up to 4 weeks. And I know, tragically, we've heard reports that 3 U.S. troops have been killed by Iran and 5 to 8 injured. And I pray that President Trump will remain resolute in order for peace to prevail in the Middle East and then spread around the world. It is absolutely necessary that the current Iranian government and the current Iranian military be neutralized. I believe that President Trump has a common sense handle on how long it will take, and he's saying up to 4 weeks. And we have this. It's believed inside Iran that the communications network between the IRGC and the Iranian military has been totally disrupted, and that IRGC and the Iranian military individuals are simply making rogue hits, not under a centralized military control. And we have this. Yeah, so the hits we're seeing coming out of Iran, it's believed, are just the decisions of the individual Iranian military on the ground. 4 ships are said to have been sunk, or tankers, in the Strait of Hormuz. So that's going on. And we have this. Iran is believed that it will soon hit tankers. Well, this was earlier today, and now it is actually sinking ships and tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. And that Saudi Arabia now is mounting, not only to defend Saudi Arabia, I guess Saudi Arabia has a real military, but Saudi Arabia is meeting tonight with other Middle Eastern countries, and it's believed a possibility may come out of that meeting that Saudi Arabia and other Middle Eastern countries will engage in offensive strikes on Iran. And that we have a possibility of hits then being made inside Iran on its oil refineries. So that's going on. Excuse me. And we have this. Many are tying, what's happening in Iran to Jeremiah 49, where the Lord says, I will break the bow of Elam, and Elam is believed to be a biblical term for Iran. And that once that is all cleared away, that Iran will rise in the work of the people of the Lord. And we've been hearing for years that Iran has the fastest growing Christian population anywhere in the world. So that's going on. God, and the American people, President Trump, and the U.S. military and other militaries, I believe God is on our side. And we have this. I wanted to, with regard to that terrorist attack in Austin, Texas, put this out. I just recalled it about 30 years ago when I was in college. In the summer, I had to take a philosophy course. And my instructions were go to 3 religious services, not your own religion. One I went to was a mosque in downtown Houston, and I was shocked by the message. Eventually, my paper was passed to the Houston police, where the religious message was, we, the people of Islam in America, it's our job to raise our children up, to take over the U.S. government, to destroy America from within. So you see, sleeper cells have been in America for a long time. So that's going on. And I also want to point this out. Recently, we heard President Trump make the State of the Union message, and we heard about an alternate meeting the Dems were going to. New information: who sponsored, organized, and paid for that alternate meeting of the commie Dems as opposed to attending the State of the Union message. I have reliable sources. It was George Soros, MoveOn.org. So we see the commie Dems directly in collusion with the anti-America MoveOn.org. And we have this. So we're hearing, Jeremiah 49 from some pastors like Jack Hibbs, and also WERX mentions this, that many Christians believe what we see going on in Iran correlates to the Bible. And we have this from PGURUS. It's believed that the U.S. hit on Iran was to take out, we know, the leadership, Ayatollah, and they took out 40 leaders, but now President Trump says it was 48 leaders. And that the U.S., from another source, during Saturday, put out 900 strikes in 12 hours, indicating the strength of the U.S. military. And Iran is making more hits on its neighbors, including Middle Eastern countries and Israel. We have the IRGC during the initial hits by the U.S. military have taken out 25 to 30 leaders of the IRGC, which goes along with the reports we're getting that the strikes we're seeing coming out of Iran now, it's believed, is being done by individuals on the ground who have no contact. Their communication network has been wiped out, and they're just making their own decisions. And one of those results was today, early this morning, we saw Iran sink one of its own ships in the Strait of Hormuz. And we see Iran hitting civilian infrastructure and airports of its neighbors. And we have this. Iran has arrived at an interim Ayatollah. So what they do, the Ayatollah was taken out. They have a group of 3, which is a cleric, who are members of what's called the Guardian Council. President Prigozhin is a part of this group of 3. Chief Justice Ajay is a member. And the cleric member was Alireza Arafin. Arafin has been named the interim Ayatollah. I hope he has his will in good order. And we have this from Daily Mail. The first hit on Iran took out the Ayatollah plus 48 Iranian leaders. And that the U.S. also sank at that same time 9 Iranian Navy ships. And the U.S. military is going after the rest. President Trump, it's believed, Iran, with this interim leader, Arafat, has made a request to President Trump to have talks. President Trump has said, sure, I'll talk, but we'll continue Operation Epic Fury that is moving ahead very fast. And President Trump had earlier said Epic Fury was ahead of schedule. We have from the Geller report. It's being reported that Israel has killed in Iran a previous Iranian leader, Ahmadinejad. Ahmadinejad was famous for making the statement that Iran would wipe Israel off of the map. So that's going on from Just News. We're hearing that a U.S. embassy in Karachi, Pakistan has been hit. More details. It's been hit by pro-Iran government protesters, hundreds of them, who also set on fire a Pakistani police station. The Pakistan police responded and have quelled the hit on the U.S. Embassy with 9 dead and 25 injured. And we have this going on coming from INFOWARS, reporting that Russia is now willing to accept U.S. security guarantees. Now, I have a problem with this report because the source is coming from Ukraine, the intel leader Budanov, who I do not trust. So I'm going to wait and see what comes out from the U.S. government regarding the U.S. providing security guarantees for Ukraine. But that's being reported. We have from WERX, yes, a terrorist jihadist attack is being put out, occurred last night in Austin, Texas. And now it's coming out that the Iranian government has put out a fatwa against the U.S. for attacks for hits to be made inside the U.S. against American citizens. That's the current Iranian government with the interim leader, Arafat, who now wants to talk to President Trump. I don't think President Trump's eyes are going to be blinded to what is actually going on, and we know, many who have read the Quran, it plainly says, you can lie, cheat, steal, kill anyone who is not Muslim. So yeah, President Trump, don't be fooled. And inside Texas now, we have our law enforcement, our U.S. military, National Guard, as well as the Texas military on high alert. And they're being spread out across Texas to protect the infrastructure, electricity, water, natural gas. The operational name for Texas military is Operation Fury Shield. So that's going on. It's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.